Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly edition of our Lunch and Learn.
E is exhaling, having an opportunity to breathe, to rest, to refill yourself and rejuvenate yourself, because no one can pour from an empty cup.
As you evolve and become more of yourself, you begin to attract the people that are there for you.
Amen.
So everything you need is in this space.
You have to learn from your mistakes. Once you make a mistake, sit down, recoup, and then start over. And once you do that, you say, I got that.
See, Juneteenth means to me, I would definitely say empowerment and education.
When I experienced it, it's like just coming together and, being a part of something bigger than myself, And
A new start, starting a new chapter, opportunity, new beginnings, all of that good stuff.
Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly edition of our Lunch and Learn. This week, we're here to talk about a topic that is kind of right on time for folks that are in the southern states. The children have started to go back to school this week. I'm not sure that they all went back to school this week, but I know here in Atlanta, Georgia area, they went back to school this week. So the conversation that we're here to have is getting your children ready for school. Getting your child ready for school. And we'll be talking with Olaitan, and I did not clarify how to pronounce his last name, but I want to say Alabi, but if not, he will correct me when he gets up here, because I'm sure I probably said it wrong, but I know that his name is Olaitan, and he's an educator. He is born and raised in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, New York, in the Clinton Hill neighborhood, and has a lot in his portfolio. He's worked with President Obama's Brothers Keeper program. He does a lot. So we're going to bring him up, let him talk about himself, let him introduce himself to the community, and get this conversation going. Good morning, Olaitan. How are you today?
I'm good, Jamie. How are you?
I'm great. So help me with the pronunciation of your last name. Want to make sure that we introduce you to the space properly and with integrity and respect. So what is...
My name is Olaitan Alabi, Nigerian name. So I know it's not as common, but it's my last name, Alabi.
Gotcha. Love it. Just making sure I put some respect on your name. So welcome to this, to the Juneteenth community. Let's dive into this conversation. I know that I always tell people that my heroes are teachers and firefighters, because those are two things that I feel like it really takes some strength, tenacity, courage to actually do. Walking in the fires and teaching people's children. It's something I would not want to do myself. So I'm always thankful and grateful to people in your position. So I would love to pass over the mic to you so that you can share yourself with the community, tell them a little bit about who you are, and what education means to you, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Okay, thank you again, Jamie. My name is Olaitan Alabi. I have been a New York City Department of Education teacher officially since 2007. So that's going into year 17 now. Sounds so crazy. I started out as a substitute teacher. I attended Hampton University, and I started as a sub. Didn't think I would be a teacher. Definitely didn't think I'd be a teacher this long. But it's been a life-changing experience where I've able to give back to the community. I met a lot of people who are great educators. Teachers are definitely great people, especially in our city of New York. It's great to be able to grow up in the city. My parents immigrated here from Nigeria, and give back to the city. I attended public school through high school. I went to PS20 in Clinton Hill, Satellite West Middle School, and Midwood High School in Brooklyn. And to be able to come back and give back to the community again, it's something that you can't even, it's something you can't quantify, something that you can't even write down. It's just something you feel in your heart and your body, to be able to give back to the community. So that's who I am,
I love it. Well, thank you for what you do and what you give back. Something that sticks out for me that I would love to kind of dive into is you're also a special education teacher.
So yes.
Let's talk about what, growing up in New York, I had plenty of friends that through different stages of my life were in special education. And I know that there's a stigma around it sometimes. So could you share with the community what special education is and what it isn't? Because I know there's a lot of stereotypes and judgments that are made when people read that.
So yes, I definitely was a special education teacher in a classroom for 10 years. I just want to clarify that. I'm not currently a special education teacher in a classroom, but I have, as a dean, dealt with students with disabilities and been a classroom teacher. I've been transitioning to new roles since I've started teaching. So I just wanted to clarify that because I'm very transparent. But being a special education teacher, it's not the child who, for lack of a better word, is the stupid child, or the child who doesn't listen and doesn't behave. It's not that. It's students who are classified with disabilities who are classified by professionals. It could go from anywhere from the spectrum of being dyslexic. It could be MR, mentally retarded. That's the word. It could be a lot of different things in their, what they call individual education plan, in their IEP. That classify them as being a student with disabilities, which means they may have more time to test, take standardized tests. They may be in a different classroom setting, a smaller classroom setting, which we call the least restrictive environment, that gives them the opportunity to matriculate as best as students who are in general ed. That's mostly what we know as students who are in regular classes. But students with disabilities is the official word that we call them. It's not the class of the buffoons, the kids who misbehave. It's the kids who need extra help in being able to succeed like kids in general education.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for the clarifications, all of them.
Yes.
So you shared some of like how your road to as a teacher, but what even inspired you to go and apply for the role of substitute teacher?
All right. So, as an African American male, you have all these dreams. I'm going to the NBA. I'm going to the NFL. I want to do this. I want to do that. Teaching is not there as one of those goals when you're growing up in the community. See, heroes on TV or sports celebrities and people in film. So you go in and you say, I'm going to college. I want to play ball. That doesn't happen. All right, I want to be a journalist, which is what I went to school for. I wanted to be a journalist, right? I love journalism. And I come back home and the opportunities are not there. Home, as in I went to school in Virginia, I come back home. My older brother, actually was a teacher. He was a teacher at the time, a young teacher. And he said, hey, why don't you come sub? And I always said I wanted to be a teacher. But later, after I become this big basketball player or journalist or whatever. So he said, why don't you come? We have an opportunity to sub. I said, who wants to teach kids? And I'm too young for that and all that. But I went to the school, middle school 113 in Brooklyn, and my brother was a teacher. And he said, no, this is a good career, and I needed money. I'm not going to front. I needed something, my daily bread, to be good. And I said, let me try to dive into this. I start teaching, I see the connection there. I'm actually 22 years old teaching 14-year-olds. And I said, oh, this is not so bad. All right, met some great educators, some great lifelong friends. And then they said, why don't you get your master's in this? I still want to be a journalist. I still got NBA dreams, I want to play, but diving into the curriculum of the school, teaching math, which is what I'm good at, math and history. And then taking my classes, I said, oh, this is not so bad. Okay, I actually like this. Okay, I can make a career out of this. I can actually, and then you're meeting these young people, these kids who you see what you see on TV, and then you actually are in it and you hear the stories and you see what parents are going through. And you're like, I can help. I can really do it from being a coach in sports to being a teacher. I can give back something. So I became a sub out of chance, out of someone passing on, paying it forward to me. their opportunity, my brother, and it just took off from there.
Wow, I love that. So before I give you my next question, Athenia actually has a question. She says that she knows all about MS 113, that she used to run the Kaplan test programs for No Child Left Behind. Were you there under Mr. K as the principal?
I was there under Mr. Kirkland. I have to give him all the credit. Khalid Kirkland, who's now the superintendent of District 23. And he asked me as a young Black man, do you want to do this? He wrote the nomination letter. And I went in there and I started teaching. He was very resourceful, and it was a great opportunity. So yes, I was under Mr. Kirkland at the time.
Super cool. So I know in our list of questions, there is a topic about you helping with attendance problems and ensuring that students are in school. You also spoke of like how important it is to have these relationships with not just your students, but the parents and all of that. So
Yes.
How exactly do you work between the schools, the parents, students to kind of make that attainable and something that is successful?
Yeah, so now I actually work in attendance. That was a good segue to what I do. Students have attendance issues coming to school. You can't teach a child if they don't come to school. You cannot, you have to, my role is to try to bridge those problems to get a solution, to have them attend and get into school. And then from there, the school takes it to provide the resources, not just to students, but to parents. So what I do and how I do it is you go to the root of the problem. I know it sounds very cliche and you say, you know what, find the problem, solve it. But going into children's homes is different from them coming to school and seeing the problems they have. When you go home, you are literally at the root of whatever the issue is. It could stem from anything. And you go into the house and mom says she can't get her medicine. And I keep her home, my child, because I need her to watch me. I have MS or I have diabetes. And I need her because she's old enough to watch her siblings and pick them up. How can we as educators, with all these resources in our country, the richest country in the world, get them the resources they need to get their child to school so that they can uplift their family and get them out of poverty and get them to another level where they can go get a career or go to college and make sure that the next generation of whatever their last name is, how can we make sure that they get the resources they need? We have a lot of resources. I am that person to go in there and help and listen to mom and dad and cousin and grandma and say, you know what? I need to find them these resources in our city, in the Department of Education, and all these other agencies, and get them the resources. So it's case by case, but you have to go in there with an open heart. You have to go in there and give them grace. You have to go in there and make sure you are using all your resources and all your connections to make sure that child gets into the building. And then the principal and all the other stakeholders, they take it from there.
Dope. I love that. So can you share, do you mind sharing us a specific success story between education teacher and liaison and what that looked like?
Yes. So you had children. I had a situation in the last few months. I said it. A mom had MS. She's young, and she's bound to a wheelchair. And such doesn't come to school. She doesn't come to school. Why doesn't she come? She's a nice girl, Mr. Alabi. I don't know why she doesn't come to school. As an attendance teacher, you go in there, you speak to the principal. Can you go to their house? You go into their house, you go and you find out. You're knocking on the door. You don't know what you're going to expect, what's going to happen. You have your implicit biases. You have your things that you have in your head that already there. So you have to fight those and say, you know what? I'm going to go in there with an open arms and I'm going to go in there and do what I got to do. It's not the best environment where they lived, but they open the door. Mom is crying. I want her to go to school, Mr. Alabi, but she doesn't want to go. Probably because I've kept her home so long, but I also need her. I don't have a phone. I need a phone. I need my medicine. I was alluding to that earlier. I need her to pick up her. A lot is weighed in on a seventh grade girl. A lot. How can I do that? Okay, Mom, we can get you what they called at the time, it's funny, Obama phone. We can help you sign up for that through the city. Can grandma come? Because my grandma's here. Oh, grandma, can we set up a time where such and such goes to school and you can watch her. I will do that, Mr. Alabi, and I can do that, but can she still pick up her siblings? Well, let's see if there's an after school program there. A lot of times things are there. If a tree, if a tree, what did he say? If a tree grows in the forest, it falls in the forest, no one's there. Is it there? You know, like, it's there. The resources are there. They never got the letter to go home to them and say, after school programs are there. Let's sign her up. It's another school that the siblings are in, but can we sign her up for after school? Sure, we can sign them up for after school. I just now have to go and call that school. What does it take for me as an educator to go and walk to the next school, which is downstairs from the 7th grader school, and go in there and actually have them sign up for after school? But you guys got to know, mom is not going to pick her up. If you have a behavior issue, you might have to go through grandma. If you have another issue, you have to go through grandma. It's not like another child. Every child is different. These two babies of ours, they have to be able, you have to be able to know their story. So yeah, she's going to pick them up every day. She wants to be a kid too. She wants to hang out too. But now she has to do adult things and pick up her siblings. So we have to work with them. They didn't know that story at the other school. So the success was she was able to come to school. They were able to go to after school. I'm sure they're going to still be on my caseload going into the new school year, but I'm going to go in, and I went and I checked on her at her school, and she was smiling. She looked like everything is good, but you never know what happens tomorrow. So we have to stay on it. We have to be ready so we don't have to get ready as educators. You know, we have to make sure we have to do at our post or whatever you do in the education system. You have to be proactive so you don't have to be reactive.
Got that. I love that. Well, definitely sending out a lot of love, light, and the best wishes for that young lady, because I'm sure, because a lot of times, like you said, that's all we really need is just a hand. We need to pull each other up. We need to help. And then taking into consideration, I know that, just coming from New York, we have a lot of folks that come from the Caribbean islands, from different places. And a lot of times they have no idea about the resources. Like you said, it's not that they don't want their children to go to school. It's not that it's, like you said, implicit biases, judgment from the a lot of times. So it's just so dope to know that schools that you've come from are allowing you to actually support that way, because there are neighborhoods that are not getting that kind of support from the school system that's around them. So
if they knew,
dope.
if you knew better, you do better. That's what they say. So, and I really believe that. I understand that my mom, this is her second language. My father was his second language. They had to want to go out and want these things, but they don't understand. If I can do that, if I can pay it forward, someone did it for me. I am going to fall on the sword for these kids because someone did it for me. And all it takes is one adult, one educator to go out here and bridge the gap. And you have a lifelong learner. You have a person that is going to do it for somebody else. That's generational wealth. It's not always money and cash. It's passing on knowledge to the next generation.
Yes. Please, I hope that gets dropped in the box and put into a quote, because that is definitely very valuable. And this conversation is just super. And I hope that everyone, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to those that are out there watching. I know your wife, Kay, is here with us, and you said you dropped the link to a couple of your friends. I just want to thank them all for being here in the space, and just ask them to share this video specifically. Like I said, we're in this time where the children are all going back to school, and there may be a parent out there that needs to hear this conversation, a child out there that may need to hear this conversation, because we know that this is a family-friendly show. So there may be some young folks that are out there that are sitting at home watching the kids and don't really know, from that side, what could be done to support them. So before we go on, before we actually speak about your media production company and how you use that to support what you're up to, I would love to kind of like go in a different order. And can you share with us what exactly a quasi administrator is, and how you are able to contribute to success to the school and the company through that?
So I was able, I have a good friend. I got to give a shout out to Principal Hines and Principal Frank, and people who have helped me get my administration license. As a teacher, when you want to become a principal or someone in administration, you have to go through a set of classes that you have to get recommended for. You have to shadow a principal. And when I was shadowing the principals, I was shadowing them. I was learning a lot, being a quasi-administrator as a dean, being able to make decisions that help our principal. Not to say I was making decisions for the school, but being able to look at the budgets, hiring committee, being able to be there after school when a lot of teachers do leave. They have their own things they have to do, but administrators don't. So when you say quasi, it was being able to have a foot in the door, peeking in, seeing what's going on in the boardroom, and then saying, you know what, when I become a principal, which I'm not, or maybe one day, I would do it like this, and able to see those decisions before I step into the arena, and become that person who is an administrator. So I was able to do that with open arms. Everybody doesn't get that, and learn from very talented African-American women who are doing their thing, so I was able to do that and actually watch how teachers are observed and speak to teachers about their pedagogy and do things of that nature. So it was a great experience. I'm still learning. I'm still in that role, not in that particular building, but I'm still in that role today, learning from great administrators.
Dope. So your media production company, can you tell us about that and how you're able to utilize it to enhance your work as an educator and mentor? And before you answer that, I do want to also acknowledge that you have some comments in the chat on the side. So Kicks Addict New York says hola with prayer hands.
Yeah, that's my boy, Colin.
And Lola O says thanks for your dedication to New York City students and their families.
Yes, that's Miss O. She's a speech pathologist. See, when I tell you, there's a bunch of administrators. A bunch of teachers who do their thing. She's one of them.
I love it. Thank you both for being here in the space with us today. Yes. So now you can go ahead and take the stage.
So media production. I went to school. I wanted to be Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, anybody else who out there. I'm very good with media. I'm very good with the camera and editing and producing and writing. I'm good with that stuff. I didn't see much of that in DOE when I came. From when I started, when Instagram and social media was at its infancy, to where I see it now, and that all the media and how much money's in media that students can tap into, that I never really got the chance to do. I say, you know what? Let me bring that to the classroom. Let me show my kids how to film a commercial, because that's my thing. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't get a chance to do it. So I said, you know what? I was writing scripts. I was producing with my friends. And I still do to this day. Life has slowed down a little bit, which is what it does. I have a family now. And I'm able to, still do media production at my pace and write, because I also write. And I read a lot. Oh God, current events, history. I grew up, if you know anything about a Nigerian household, you're watching the news from sundown to sunup, or sunup to sundown. So I have a plethora of information in my head and opinions and things of that nature with politics that I like. So I say, you know what, about a year ago, let me start, not put this thing to waste. After having a child, getting married, I said, let me start the Nasarima, which is American spelled backwards, right? If you look at the website, I'm not your typical American, but I am. I'm not immigrated. My parents immigrated here, so I learned a lot. So I have a different sort of lens that I look into this country, and I look into different things in this country. And I said, let me write about it. Let me get my friends to tell their stories. That's what Colin, Kicks Addict New York, he was able to tell his story on there. And I can tell it in a way with the camera and writing that others may or may not enjoy, but at least it's out there. So in terms of education, I was able to bring it into the classroom, show my kids, hey, this is another option. I always say, you don't have to be the rapper, the guy on the stage. You can build the stage. You can be the person to build the stage, someone to the person that's building the stage, the person that owns Madison Square Garden, doesn't play ball, but he's making just as much, if not a lot of money. You can do that. You actually have a better chance of building the stage and being the guy behind the camera than you do to get on the camera, because that's a tough industry to get in. So I bring that into the classroom and I showed my kids that way, and I still do that in terms of the Nasarima. I'll go out there and film things. I will write about things. It's much easier to write in terms of production than it is to film, because you have camera equipment and things of that nature. So in terms of that and education, I like to give my opinion on things. I like to invoke thought. I throw questions out there like you're doing, Jen, today, just to invoke thought and say, you know what? I want people to think about it in this way. That's not my opinion, but what if I ask a probing question? That's what a journalist does, and you put it out there, and it leads to deep thought. It leads to great conversation, and that's what I do. I'm getting ready to start another podcast with my good friend Carlito called Daddy Issues, and I'm a dad. I'm a new dad, so we have all these things we talk about, but no one to hear. And if we put it out there as a young Black father. Same thing for him. And we put it out there and we say, you know what? We can just start talking about things that fathers really do talk about. From changing diapers to what schools to pick to vaccines, which vaccines to take. I talk about this with him every day. I know media. We can sit in my house or his house or a production studio, and we can actually talk about these things and say, you know what? Let's put it out there, because now it's not taboo. And we'll be the guinea pigs. We'll be the guys who talk about it and say, oh, man, we got a podcast for everything else. Why not about daddy issues, right? So
I love that. I love that so much, because I often say, that's how we actually really shift and change and grow and expand ourselves as a community, dive into the conversations. And I love that it's coming from that side, because I'm often urging, I happen to know a lot of single dads.
See?
And that's a conversation to me that, so many men don't think it's attainable. So many men get beat down by the system, discouraged, just so many things that come up when you think about what it takes to get to that side of it. And I'm always trying to urge them to do that kind of same thing, because that's literally what grows that community, that it builds up. It's kind of old, the whole single mom thing. Because like I said, there's so many single dads out here in the world, but because that conversation is not a conversation that's had enough, the conversation of new dads that are married and what that looks like. They talk to the moms all the time. We get the stage all the time to talk about our experiences on almost everything that comes up with motherhood, even down to the fact that it was a whole conversation in our country just in these last weeks about how we own motherhood. So why shouldn't there be a huger conversation about fatherhood, especially amongst people that look like us and that are young, solid, educated, smart, and like
we've been contemplating that for months. I'm like, but even though it doesn't have to be something that this big, thing on a network or whatever, it's just being able to talk to my brother. He's my brother from another, all the time, because he's been a father for 7 years. And he told me this. I remember he was going through this. Remember he's going through that. We can talk about basketball. We can talk about, at the time, before we got married, about, being a good husband. Now, this is a different stage in life where we're in a chance. We have a chance. And kids will always be in our lives. We will always be parents. Why not have the conversations that people really want to ask questions? I'm not an expert. I know what I know. He's not an expert. Others are not an expert. But to have the conversations, thought-provoking conversations, man, that's another way to give back generational wealth.
I love it. So Miss Anita Fisher, who is Athenia's mom, hey mama, she is saying that she loves the fact of relating to students where they are, which leads me to this next question. What are some of the strategies that you use as a behavior specialist that can support students, that may even support some folks out there, some parents maybe that don't necessarily have strategies in their toolbox? What are some of the that you use to meet students where they are and support them?
If you're talking about the issues of behavior, so I was a child who was very eager, and I see that in my daughter now, to do things and not sit down. I couldn't sit down. I still can't sit down. I'm surprised I'm sitting down now. I was very eager to go and do stuff. My mother put me in baseball because she saw I was watching baseball a lot. I played for the Bonnies in Brooklyn. And that was her way, because this was a new culture to her. It was new for her. So she was like, you know, a lot of times we react as adults, and this is another issue we talk about with daddy issues, as we want to pacify ourselves. We end up, let's be real, we end up putting our hands on our children or hitting them because we want to settle them down in that moment. We love them, but we want them to calm down, or we want them to behave, or we didn't like something they did at school, but that's not really teachable. When you lead a child in behavior, start with something that can be a teachable moment. If they do something, they spill milk, something that happens with all children, and the first reaction is to hit them or to yell at them, which happens, you have to think to yourself, can this be used as a teachable moment? Can this be used as something that I can come back to later and say, remember that time you spilled milk last time? What can I do better next time, so that I'm thinking before this spills, maybe I shouldn't put this at the edge of the table. And of course, it might still happen. Give them, so teachable, can it be used as a teachable moment? Are you giving your child grace in the fact that they are a child? I do have to exercise patience as a parent. Patience, something I had to learn for myself before a parent. And now being a parent, I have to learn patience. I'm tired from the day. I'm going out there busting my tail so I can be a better parent. I can make the money I need to give my child resources. And then I'm getting upset, but can I use this as a teachable moment? Some of the strategies are that in itself, and meeting them where they're at. I am a big fan of being proactive. If you know your child is someone who oversleeps, you have to figure out a way, because they're going to have to get up one day. You're not going to be on this earth one day. They're going to have to be that person to get up from their bed. And I need to find strategies. We have Google. Me and my friends joke all the time. Google it. We have Google. We have friends. We have colleagues. We have this. I have to figure out a way to get to that issue before it becomes an issue. If I know she oversleeps, I got to figure out a way to get them up, and something that meets them where they're at. Maybe something that will motivate them in the morning to say, you know what? I need to motivate them to get up, or I have to figure out if it's something scientific, something in their body, something is, but I have to be proactive. A lot of our culture, American culture, is reactive. Our medicines are reactive. Our treatments in medical is reactive. Our strategies in politics and education are reactive. Kids score low, then we're gonna do this. Well, let's do something so that they don't score low. If kids get sick or people get sick, we give them medicine to get them back to the baseline. Well, why don't we eat right so it doesn't happen? Be proactive, have teachable moments, and take them, and constantly know that this is a never-ending journey being a parent or an educator. Constantly get up and figure out strategies that are making you proactive, and it should be a better experience. Nothing is perfect, but you have to study your child, just like I have to study 30 kids in the classroom if I'm a teacher, or 120 kids, or 200 kids if I'm a principal. And I have to be able to go in there, and just like any coach, I have to have a strategy before a problem happens.
Oh, I love that. So many things came up for me. I'm like, the thing that I believe stuck out the most is was kind of like, it hit me like right there. I am a mother of a 23-year-old young man, and yeah, he did not like waking up in the morning.
I don't like it.
What came up for me, though, exactly that, is that also we have to not just give them grace, but look at ourselves sometimes. Because as parents, sometimes we forget who we are and how we show up. And then we want our children to do something totally different. And so it's like starting with ourselves. So don't just motivate our children or yell at the children, kind of like start with ourselves. So one of the things for me before Google came was playing with the time. So I kind of have to schedule everything kind of an hour ahead.
Yes.
In my mind, because if I don't, I have clocks around the house that are literally 30 minutes fast. Like that one that I look at the most before I head out for work, that's the one that's 30 minutes fast. So it's like, those are the same things that, like you're talking about tools, I had to gift him like, here's this. This is something I noticed in myself, but I can't say that the whole time, because this is before I did my own healing, my own work, my own learning strategies. I can't say that I was always that mother that showed up. So in his later years, in I would say the junior high moving on, definitely was able to receive those kind of tools. But earlier on, I can't say that elementary school, it wasn't some yelling going on in that house. Thank goodness, from being a physically chastised child, I made it a goal of mine not to use my hands.
That's not. I would say that's not the real world. I have to make my little house, my apartment, wherever you grow, even if it's a big house. I have to make it the training ground of what the world's going to look like, and it's not. No one's going to hit you out there. So I have to make them look like the consequences are going to be on your name, and you have to live with that. So you, being a parent, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I saw something there that I wanted to piggyback off. You also learning. You were not the same age you were 23 years ago. So how can you expect but you progressed for the last 23 years, but you're not the same parent you were 23 years ago, which is a good thing. It's things you learn in this world that we're all going to do that. I'm not going to be the same person 10 years from now I was when she's 10 years old. Right now she's 1. So I have to learn and give those opportunities and say, I'm setting her up for when I'm not here so she can do better than me. So yeah.
Love that. I love that. And definitely don't apologize for putting that into a teachable moment, because that's literally what we're here for. We're here to have people get their kids ready for school. And these are the conversations that need to be had. The ones that don't come up often, like who talks about these things. It's like, did you get the school supplies? Do you have everything you need? They have their clothes.
Yeah.
Is everything in place for work and like your life around that? We have those typical conversations, but not really the things that will continue to, like you said, have them thrive and survive when we're no longer here. And that is the goal for all of our folks. Like you said, that's where the real wealth and legacy comes in. That's where, when you're solid in those areas, you are able to go out and now build financial and focus on financial and health and all those other good things in life. So we do have a question. You actually have 2 questions.
Yes.
So Marjorie and Miss D wants to know, where can she tune into issues? If I heard you guys haven't launched it yet.
Yeah. So my good friend Carlito and I, we are filming next week. Filming is something I love to do. I am going to blast it out as many platforms as I can. We're good with the social media thing. We also are looking to you'll see the platform we're developing now. We want to have as many fathers come on, and this is not this is just a daddy thing right now, but we want to expand it. We want as many fathers come on like we're doing here. This is a great platform, by the way. Thank you guys for having me. We want you guys to ask questions, even if you're a female mother. Come on and do a live, or you call into a voicemail and you say, hey, I have a question about this. We want to stick to daddy issues and not relationship issues, because that's a different platform. We want to stick to things that will help us as fathers, because I think, especially being African-American fathers, being what I've seen in schools, it will help just to have the conversations out there. So to answer your question, Marjorie, I'm going to send this to Juneteenth. I'm going to send this to as many platforms. If you follow me on the Nasarima on Instagram, I'm going to put it out there because that's like my network that I'm using to put out different things. You can friend me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm going to put it everywhere because I kind of sometimes I'm a little shy in putting myself on camera because I know how good I am behind the camera. But this is something that is going to be natural to me. And I'm going to put it out as many places as I can. So we film next week, just to answer your question. And then we have to edit our episodes. So sometime at the end of August, beginning of September, we're going to put it out there. So if you follow me, then you'll see it.
Pretty dope. All right. Thank you for asking that question, Marjorie. That way everyone is aware of what's going on. Ola's, and I'm going to, if that's okay, call you Ola, because I'm going to go there shortly, because for those hip hop heads in the space, if you see his Instagram tag, his Instagram profile name, you'll know why I'm saying that, but we'll go to that part of the conversation. Yep. So, and then there's also one more question from Miss Anita. So, How can what are some of the best ways to address anger issues? So many of the children are experiencing COVID socially with their peers. You know, we're still all coming out of a pandemic. What are
Mhm.
some of the best ways to address anger issues amongst children?
Whew. So there's two prongs to that. You have pre-pandemic and you have now. So you try to individualize, or you try to isolate, is this a pandemic thing or is this not? So if your child was started school during the pandemic, they're probably in the third grade now, second grade, third grade, right? So they've had to learn how to start with the digital platforms and now transfer over to going to school, which is, trust me, from the highest rated schools to the lowest rated schools, that is a transition that most can't make, right? So to answer your question about anger issues, it's, again, it sounds cliche, it sounds very boring, but it's the dirty work that always gets it done. Why? A child is not angry just because. They're not, most of the time. Like, it's not a mental issue. Something is going on, but you have to constantly show them. Just like if we love a song and we constantly listen to it, we rehearse it, we know what it is word for word. Even if a child today has an anger issue and you want to show them a way to express their anger, if you want to say, you should be doing this to express your anger, it may not happen the first 20 times, but they are growing, they're getting older by the second, and they are listening to what you say. So depending on what specifically are the anger issues, I don't want to give you a one-size-fits-all answer. I don't care what they tell you in school. One size does not fit all for any of these issues for children. He might have an anger issue and he might have an anger issue, but it's two separate causes. So you say, there is a way to express yourself, young man or young lady or whoever that person is to you. This is what you should do when you're angry. And you know the solution. You know what they should do because you know what's acceptable in society. And you continuously tell them, but you also model it for them. I was angry at this. I think the thing that works for most kids, if you tell them your experience, they can't really fathom it because they're not old enough to see it. But if they see you, like me, I'm playing sports with them and I can dunk the basketball, I can shoot, I can do this. They relate to you more because they see that he's doing the same things as me. He's playing the board game with me. He's playing the video game with me. He's doing the homework like me. I'm in grad school. I'm a 25-year-old father and I have a 7-year-old child. I had him at 18. I do homework too. And this must be done or I can't pass. Put myself in your shoes. I get angry too. If you end off a sentence with to, and this is how I deal with my issues, show them you're the example. Don't just give them a pie in the sky answer. Well, this is what people do when they're angry. Show me. This is what I do. This is what your grandmother did. This is what it is. And you constantly beat it into their head because that worked for me. I had anger issues too. I get upset in school. I want to storm off. My mother, yes, she would constantly tell me the same things. And now she would say, didn't it work? Didn't it manifest with you? But that was me. That was Ola. It works different with different kids, but you study your child. You say, this is what gets him angry. This is how I need to address this. And I put myself in their shoes and I show them the example. Be the example. That's it. Teach them by example. That's it. Practice what you preach. That whole do as I say, not as I do. No, do as I say and as how I do,
I love that. I love that. So that's like the perfect segue into my next question. So, and this is kind of going to be a 2-in-1 question. So how do you collaborate with sports teams and leagues, not only as a coach and referee, but how do you bring mentee, like being a mentor and education into that? And then also share with us your work and efforts in My Brother's Keeper.
Okay. So 2-pronged question. I think you said, how do I collaborate with sports leagues? Say it one more time.
Sports teams and leagues, and not only I know you coach, you referee, but also how do you combine and collaborate those different roles of being a coach, a referee, a mentor, and an educator? Like, what does that look like? What is support?
Okay. So when you get into schools and you see yourself and a young man who has all these NBA dreams or NFL dreams or being in the league, you have to use that to your advantage. And it's not really your advantage, it's their advantage. Shutting them down, saying, you got to focus on your books. You got to focus on your books. Yes, you do have to focus on your books. A lot of people say that, well, you're not going to go to the league anyway. You're not going to do this. If you don't focus on your books, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. That's starting negatively. You're starting negatively. The kid is turned off. You have to go in there and say, this is the realities of it. You give them numbers. You show them. There's plenty of examples now. There was examples when I was young, but there's plenty of examples of this is how Kevin Durant, LeBron James, whoever got into the league, they look like you. You use that to me. I went to class. Well, I went to class because there was no other choice. But what motivated me in class was I had to stay eligible to play sports. So that's what kept me eligible and kept me in the classroom. I didn't necessarily like school work because I thought it was boring and it wasn't testing me. But I knew what I had to do. This school thing is a job for you. You got to do this. This is a task. You don't like homework? It's tough luck. Sometimes you have to do it. Just like I have to come in, I have to get up. But before that, I have to make sure my daughter's right. Mom has to make sure she's right. We may not like doing it, but this is what the world we live in. So doing that, I relate sports and into the classroom and being a mentee and doing those things. I use it as one whole universe, one system to say I can use sports just like it was used with me. Notice I always say something that points back to me. I can use sports to go and relate to that young man, speak to him or her about those things that go on, or entertainment or politics. And I'm very well versed in that. And I use it to my advantage to give real life experiences and say, all right, we're playing in this league. It's not really about the outcome of the game. It's about showing up for your teammates, being on time for the game, practicing, doing those things. And that's how you develop work ethic. Stop giving yourself excuses. I myself struggle with fitness sometimes because I was very active. Now, not so much. I'm being a little more, doing those things. How can I motivate myself? Oh, my thing is I got to be around for my daughter and my wife and my family. I got to be around for them. I got to be in school on Monday. I can't be dragging myself around because I ate too much and I didn't exercise and I'm in my 40s now. So I'm sluggish and things of that nature. My motivation is to use sports to get my health right. I'm not going to the league. I referee because I'm able to see the other side of it and teach kids how to act accordingly on the court or the field. I'm able to do that stuff. I'm able to do that and be able to say, you should be acting, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. All the anger, somebody asks about anger issues, you got to learn how to leave that on the field and show up for your teammates. Leave that in the locker room. So, and the second question was about my brother's keeper. I was thrust into that role by Principal Hines when I became a dean at our school. And it was great because we got to collaborate with other men who are coming from different parts of Brooklyn. And his initiative, President Obama, was my brother's keeper. You have to look out for one another. You have to give them opportunities to see the world in a different light from what they've seen. And I was able to do that constantly at our school. Our young men, seeing them from 3 years old, to 11 years old in our school, or 10 years old. It was a great opportunity because you get to. It's a lot of struggle. It's a lot of frustration. It's a lot of things that go on at home. But every day you get up, and when they make it to graduation, which I was able to give the graduation speech at my school this year, and see those young men become who they are, and being scared, because I've seen young men leave our school or other schools I've been at, and the streets have taken them, but I gave them as many tools as I need, and they can always, always, always come back, and ask Mr. Alabi. I have kids today who are in their 30s. And they can come back and use me as a resource for whatever. I am transparent. I am someone who wants you to pay. One of my company I own is called PIF Group, Pay It Forward. I just want to give. And because someone did it for me. And I want to give the resources, because I'm not rich, but give resources and say, you can do this. You can pick my brain, but then you got to do it for somebody else. That's what I love.
Dope. I'm like, something that is like screaming really loudly to me, and I don't know if you consider yourself, but I'm like, okay, Olaitan, the master motivator. And because through all, you use all that you've learned and know the things that you're into to use as leverage to motivate the children. And
That's
not only,
exactly what it is.
and I hear not even just the children, you're about to do it with other dads, you're doing it with parents, like you show up in all spaces as a master motivator. So that is your archetype in my mind now. If I ever think about somebody that needs to do something that just coming from, you know, they have the Tony Robbins, they have different people where you'll end up, what you'll end up attaining, but you definitely fit that type of shoe for our community, and what you brought to this table today. So I definitely want to thank you. As we start to wind down the conversation, I would love for you to just kind of like summarize the gems that you want the community to walk away with today. And then I'll have a few questions for you and we'll close out for the day.
Okay. Well, one is, I didn't say this, but I'll always, African proverb, it takes a village. I grew up in the hip hop culture. I grew up in American culture. We like to be the man. I'm the GOAT. Who's the GOAT? LeBron, Michael Jordan, this and that. It's that individual. I want to be on the best team. I started playing basketball. I didn't know what I was doing on the court, but I know I could rebound. I could jump over people all day. If that's my role, I was going to be the best at that. Then I got better at skill. And again, I related to me because I'm only me. I've only lived the experience of me. Same thing for everybody else. It takes a village. We always talk about big mama and grandma and this and that. You need to, as parents, sit them down, sit everybody down, and this is what we're going to do for these children. I mean, not literally sit down all the time, but you have to be the CEO of your household. You have to be the CEO of your children and say, Grandma, Grandpa, I have great in-laws. I have my mother's great. This is the path we're trying to get them to go. We have to take the village and we have to say, you know what? We have to constantly be on the same page. It's a team sport. We're not that individual. This one is a better, my cousin, his kid is messing up. Don't be like him. No, we bring him into the fold and we say, you know what? If they want to go on that path, that's not really conducive to them. That's okay. And we don't look down on them. We say, you know what? We show them by example and we do the right things, but we bring them into the fold. Stop being, I don't say selfish, because you do have to have some kind of look out for yourself, but you have to be able to share your resources and share your knowledge because someone else has something over there. And the way my friends and I lead ourselves, we are people who share resources and things of that nature because we're not rich. We're not rich in knowledge, but we can be together. It takes a village. Give your children grace. Oh my God, please. Because this world, when we do this a lot. We say, you're 18, you're a man now, or you're a woman now. No. If you give your kid out to the world too early, whatever age that is, the world will be ready for them, but they may not be ready for the world. The world will eat them up in financial decisions, in relationship decisions, and the way they eat. But you have them for a certain amount of years, if you're alive enough to see them off like my parents were, and now they're ready for the world. Do not rush them out the house. Give them grace. They're going to make mistakes. I made plenty of them. My mom didn't say you couldn't come home. She didn't say you're a terrible son. There are days I frustrated her, my siblings have, but you can come home. If my wife kicks me out tomorrow, I have a bed at home. I don't think she will, but I always know I can come home mentally and physically. And the last thing I'll say is pay it forward. Again, pay it forward. Someone can use your help. Someone helped my mom and my father, siblings, and my siblings. I'm going to help somebody else. It's hard for me to be that selfish. It's very hard. Even when this person, and a lot of people have done me wrong financially, this and that. It's very hard to come back when someone does you wrong. But there's always a new person that needs your help. Pay it forward and teach your kids to pay it forward. Oh my God, this world would be such a much selfless place, and we will be able to move as a community. And now I'm speaking directly to being African American, because we don't come from money. We don't come from wealth. We really don't as a group. So we have to build it up. And And that's wealth in money and also wealth in knowledge. We have to build up our database like other communities have, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine because we see it manifesting.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for those invaluable gems, Olaitan. So, Ola.
Yes.
I would be remiss not to, we will be starting a new series coming up, and I love starting things a little early, warming up the pot, warming up the stage. So we are in the 50th year anniversary of hip hop.
Yep.
So Ola, A, for those
Yes.
out there that are not hip hop heads, that is definitely a Kid and Play reference. I love that. Share with us, who are your top three? Who are your top three groups, artists? It doesn't have to be male, female, or group. Just who would be your top three? And then I'll have one final question for you after that.
I grew up in Clinton Hill. If you know Clinton Hill, it steps away from where the Notorious B.I.G. Grew up on. He grew up on St. James, and I was on Clinton Avenue. So I grew up almost equidistant between him and Jay-Z. Jay-Z, I've actually lived through his lyrics. He first came out with his first album when I was 14. We know what he's doing today. It's almost like he's lighting our life story, my life story, but a few other people that I know, going from, I didn't sell drugs or anything, but I understand his mentality of what he thought he needed to do to where he's at today, being a family man. Jay-Z, the Notorious B.I.G., and you can put in there, I love J. Cole. It's funny, my friends are watching, they know why. J. Cole, also, he had an album about 10 years ago that just resonated with me. And he seems to be someone who just, I've never really liked the misogyny of hip hop. I actually wrote an article called the people calling me. I wrote an article saying the collateral damage of hip hop. If you go on to nasarima.com, you can actually listen. I didn't just write the article. If you're in the car, I did it with my voice. I dictated it with my voice, and you can listen what the collateral damage of hip hop, listening to some of the things we listen to. And if a child at my age followed it through, and where some of these stars have ended up when they were at the height of their celebrity, it's done a lot of damage to us, the collateral damage of hip hop, but it's also done a lot of great things. And I'm not the one to sit there be like C. Dolores Tucker or Bill O'Reilly and say, you know what, this is worse. This hip hop has been great. 50th year of hip hop. It has to be great to last this long, but there has been collateral damage. I don't really do the misogyny, the bling bling, things of that nature. I enjoy listening to it, but I don't like what it manifests into our community. But I explain that, shameless plug, on the nasarima.com. And those are my guys, Jay-Z, J. Cole, and Notorious B.I.G.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for the transparency and even taking us there and sharing more teachable moments. See, master motivator, because I'm definitely going to go. I already had plans to go and check it out, but now that just heightened the interest of wanting to hear that, because it definitely resonates highly.
Yes. Thank you.
And being a person specifically that loves to dance. And sometimes you're listening to stuff and it's like, whoa, what did I just do? A little two-step two?
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you for going there. And my last and final question for you today, my dear, is to please share with us what Juneteenth means to you.
Juneteenth. So I was actually able to be invited to your great event, Juneteenth celebration of Black Kings. And I was like, what is this thing? And I asked my sister, Olaitan Alabi, who is, she's great. And I was like, she's able to look up things and say, okay, some of these organizations you don't want to get into, right? You don't want to, they do these things because they want whatever, these nefarious things. And I was like, okay, talk to me about Juneteenth. What this organization. He said, no, it's good. You can check it out. So what Juneteenth means to me, it's not just a federal holiday like most. It resonates with me like what we used to have in Black Solidarity Day. If you remember that, I don't know if you remember Black Solidarity Day.
Wow.
A lot of teachers used to take that off, and I didn't really know what it meant. I just thought Black people had a day, just like the Jewish community has a day, or this one has a day. I just didn't know what it meant. So I didn't know what Juneteenth was until I was in my 30s maybe. And then I was like, oh, this is dope. This should be a holiday, right? And it eventually became a holiday. It took a lot. It became a holiday in the last 2 years, I think. What it means is the physical emancipation of our people. But because the holiday became a holiday a couple of years ago, it now to me is the mental emancipation of our people. It's the mental emancipation of our people to me to say, I'm not just, if you relate it today, I'm not just what they tell me on TV. I'm not just can be a rapper and an athlete to become rich and powerful and be in some rooms. I'm someone who can actually look and see a rapper who was a drug dealer, who is now a billionaire. And I can see those things. I know those things. I've seen Jay-Z. He's a real person. I am mentally free. I'm getting there because a lot of people are still pigeonholed into what they think they're supposed to be. But the world is I never thought I could be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher. I'm mentally emancipated. My mother, if you know a saying in Nigeria, a Nigerian parents is either a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure, right? There's only a few things you could be. But our generation is showing with people on TV, you can be an athlete, you can be behind the camera, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do whatever. I am now opening my mind to things, and my daughter will be even better than I am. And that's an everyday job for me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Whew. I love that. And that question is it just always kind of takes me out every time. It's the perfect way to end this segment.
I want to say thank you. Thank you. You guys are a great organization. I have not been able to connect with you guys since the dinner at the end of June. But this right here, I needed Keisha and you and everybody at Umoja to sometimes you need that team. You guys were constantly asking me to email you back and do this. And I was like, all right, can I do this on a summer day and this and that? And this right here has motivated me to do more things once I finish with you guys today and make sure my podcast is tight, make sure all the things I am tight. Because sometimes I get lazy. I'm not this guy who doesn't have his lazy moments. But you guys, anybody watching, anybody's gonna see this, great organization, like great. Like you wanna see Black women doing their thing. It happens in many different places, but this organization, I can speak to it. And I don't put my stamp of approval on a lot of things, but you guys, yeah.
Thank you for that, Olaitan. And Athenia is out there, who's our CEO and founder. I am it's definitely a space that I'm honored to come every week and host and show up. It allows me to do just what's happening for you is what happened to me on this side. I can remember the first time she ever even asked me to do this. And it was like, do what? Who? Me host? Not me. I'm not a host of any kind.
Athenia is here.
But what I am is I'm a conversator, and I just love intentionality. I love anything that is paying it forward through conversation, through healing, through just being transparent and open, because I think that, again, that is that thing that helps continue to grow our legacy and wealth as a community, as Black people, as descendants of Juneteenth, no matter where you fall in that, whether your people are from here, or whether you came here by choice. And I love it. I love that it allows us all to connect. I love that you were so open, and I'm glad that you were honored, Black King. And there are comments before you, when you hop off, you have some comments in the chat, people that are just speaking highly of you and what they saw here in the space today, and thanking you for being here. I just would love for everybody that's here with us today, if you could like and follow our thread, so that way you can see more of these great conversations. Share. I hope that you'll come back and join us in the future, because I know you're going to, like you said, you're about to go be up to some things. I would love for you to come back and bring it back and share with the community again, because your community is our community and our community is your community.
I'm going to definitely, I'm not just speaking, I am a man of my word. I'll be back whenever you guys ask, and I'm going to reach out to you about my podcast, and I just want our community to grow.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would actually love for you and Carlito to come back and talk about daddy issues, maybe once you get to like a first quarter or something like that, or
Yes.
how often you'll do your episodes. But once you've had a nice amount and can come back and talk about it and share it, not just with the community, but also the experience of what it is to podcast and what it is to start it. 'Cause we're getting to see you from the gestation of the baby, and then the baby will be birthed and thriving and surviving. So thank you, Olaitan. It was a pleasure. I'm so grateful that Kay came into this space because I felt her presence, just
Yeah.
having that woman energy, knowing that out there supporting her hubby. So I don't have any worries about her putting you out and you needing to go sleep at mom's. I think everything great. And who knows, maybe you guys will even have a marriage podcast and talking together, because there is a platform for relationships that's always needed.
Yes.
So thank you. And I will see you behind stage.
See you, Jamie. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, community. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I hope you all enjoyed today's conversation. Like I asked, if you could please just all like and follow the thread. Sharing is what will get these conversations out and shared. And these are the type of things that need to go viral. So let's act like I'm not even going to go there. I was about to be bad, but I'm going to leave that young lady alone. I'm going to leave Miss Carly Russell alone. And but share this video, please. And next week's guest, we have Jamel Thompson, and he will be discussing ways that we can partner with each other to attain our goals. So we'll be talking about partnering with power. And if you have been here with me more than once, I use that term often. Because it's really important for us to partner with power. So have a great week, have a great weekend, and I will see you at the same time, same place next week.